Hey humans, how's it going? It's Shani today here, and welcome to something that it's actually more frequently asked over on my Twitch channel, and I thought that YouTube would benefit from it as well, so we found ourselves here today on the 6th of December. If you haven't checked out my Twitch yet, that's twitch.tv/ShaniZaday. Currently finishing off the 100 Baby Challenge, doing a bunch of other shell challenges, as well as giving away a Sims 4 pack of your choice. So check the description for all of those details about how to get your hands on a stuff pack or a game pack or an expansion pack of your choice from The Sims 4 during a December time. Anyway, let's jump into the video. A lot of people always ask when they see me playing the game and when they see me doing the Let's Play streams, they're always asking, oh, do you play on PC? I'm like, no, I play on console, but I play with a mouse and keyboard plugged into my console. And that usually sparks an entire array of questions about, oh, how do you do that? How does it work? Is it better than playing on controller? And I kind of wanted to squish all of that by compiling it into one little neatly bundled. If you have the ability to play with a mouse and keyboard on your console, for Sims 4 specifically, I highly recommend it. Controller is great, don't get me wrong, but once you have a keyboard, it is honestly, like, once you have a keyboard, it opens up your world to so many other possibilities in The Sims. Now, this isn't my usual keyboard that I use on PC. This is just a little standard Logitech that I plug into my console. My normal keyboard is far more complex and fancy and all of the other stuff, and you can learn about that in the description below as well, also from Logitech G. But I have a very stock standard, very entry level mouse and keyboard that plugs into my console. It uses one little USB port, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, and honestly, I would not be able to play The Sims without it in the degree, or to the degree that I play, should I rather say. Jumped into my tips and cheats gameplay, or my save, just to kind of show you, first of all, my movements are super fluid. I'd be able to do this on controller, but it's just so much more fluid and I have so much more control with using a mouse. And with a keyboard, I have access to all of the hotkeys, which I know are all available on controller as well, but it's just so much quicker, so much easier over on the keyboard side of life. I have also done a full video about the controls and hotkeys for The Sims 4 with both the keyboard and mouse, as well as on controller, so you can check that out in the cards right now. But I do think that first and foremost, it's just the ease of access with using a mouse and keyboard. Sims 4, well, The Sims in general was built as a PC game. It was built to be played with mouse and keyboard, and then when they brought it over to console, they had to tweak a whole bunch of things, and that's probably why it took so long between 2014 to 2017 to be able to bring the game to console. And then over and above, when Sims 4 came to console in 2017, it didn't have mouse and keyboard support. That's only something that came in a little bit later, and once it did, it changed my life entirely. So first of all, movement and right clicking, left clicking, all of the other things, it's a lot easier on mouse and keyboard. I know a lot of people struggle with the shift click on controller, whereas obviously with mouse and keyboard, I can just shift click without a problem. So it's just one of those things. And then do I even need to get started on the fact that I can type without having to opening any of the controller input settings? Because I know, based off of all of my other cheats videos, a lot of controller players have been complaining about not being able to input the longer cheats, like the gameplay unlocks entitlements cheats. So many people have been asking, okay, but why doesn't this work for me? Because it doesn't let me put in longer than 25 characters. I was like, I also play on a console and I don't have this problem, but it's probably because I use a mouse and keyboard. It also has to do with enabling cheats and all of that other stuff, but it's just, there are no restrictions to how many characters you can input. You also have access to all of the special characters, and just also, it's a lot quicker and easier to type with a mouse and keyboard, well, with a keyboard, than on controller. So if all of those reasons haven't already won you over and trying to get you to think to switch over from your controller to a mouse and a keyboard, there are three final things that I want to touch that are definitely major bonuses when it comes to playing The Sims 4 on console, or just Sims 4 in general, that playing with a keyboard and a mouse makes the world of difference. Firstly, we're gonna chat about the Sims camera. Once you have an input for mouse and keyboard, you have the option to use the Sims 3 camera. And yes, they can spin and all of that other stuff, But if I just switch over to my other camera and we go to the Sims 4 camera, there's no ability for me to adjust the angle. That is a very big thing for me, especially coming from having played other Sims games. I have to rotate, but I can't change the angle of how I manage to play within the game. Whereas the Sims 3 camera, this allows me to rotate, zoom in, adjust my camera angle and the tilt. So if I want to look from up above, but not quite that bird's eye that the controller version allows you to snap to, I can set it at any angle. This is great for screenshots. And speaking of screenshots, something else that's really great with being able to control this angle and how to look at your sim is if you enter this tab mode, and you can just jump on in and you can zoom in and you can have all of your amazing angles. Whereas if I had to do this with the Sims 4 camera, let me show you exactly what's going to happen. If I jump into the Sims 4 camera and I zoom all the way in and I go into tab, I can't adjust this angle further. This is as low down as you're going to get with your sim. You can't go any lower into the sim. It's physically impossible to adjust this camera any further. So that's a screenshot versus if we jump into the Sims 3 camera and we adjust this angle a little bit lower, as opposed to that screenshot. You know what I'm saying? Especially for people who do like to tell stories through their screenshots. I personally, I can't play without that. I like to be able to control this angle and be able to edit that, especially in build mode, buy mode. It's a game changer for me. And if that hasn't sold you, chatting about build and buy mode, there is something that you cannot physically do in the controller version of the game. And I'm going to have to grab some tiles for this, and I'm going to grab some flooring, and I'm just going to show you. It's very fine and easy to be able to place your squares like this. But what about those triangles? You don't always want to have to place walls to make them place on a triangle. So if I go Control F, this turns into the little triangle tool with the tiles, and I can fill in all of these spaces without having to place any extra walls or anything like that. That's created a very easy shape for me to use. If I wanted to recreate this without using the Control F method of having the little triangles and make that go back to squares, I would have had to go into wall, I would have had to trace this, I would have had to make this shape, I would have to go back there, go back up here, come up back here, finally make a wall, grab the tools that I wanted to use, fill the room, then come back and delete all of the walls. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate. Nothing to delete. Then you've also got all of this other awkward stuff going on, and it's just not the same. Let's just leave it at that. It's just not the same. Unfortunately, it's mouse and keyboard is always going to trump controller for me. I have played and I have served my time with playing on controller. When push comes to shove, when I want to do something really quick, I do still play on controller. I do still test out a bunch of things for you guys because I do a lot of controller and console based content to teach you guys or help you guys or show you tips and tricks and all of the other if you don't have access to a mouse and keyboard. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of show you why the game is so much more enriched when playing with a mouse and keyboard. Obviously not everyone has the ability to invest into a mouse and keyboard for their console. But it's just something that I definitely think a lot of players, especially if they played an earlier Sims game and they came from mouse and keyboard and they jump into the Sims 4, it takes someone who, how do I explain this? It takes someone who was already exposed to the Sim genre from a mouse and keyboard background. It takes them twice as long to get used to controller because it's so different than with a mouse and keyboard. To get used to playing with a controller. Obviously, if you only ever played with controller, these controls, they're second nature to you and you can't access any of the others, but that's fine because you've never really truly needed to access them anyways. But I don't know, I think me personally, I play with a mouse and keyboard on my console. It is an entirely different game. There are so many more features and functions and the ability to create some really stunning screenshots and really stunning storytelling moments with the camera tilt and all of the other things. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Let me know if you are a die-hard controller fan, if you're a die-hard mouse and keyboard fan, if you play on PC, if you play on console. Obviously both have their own different reasons as to why you would play on one or the other. But that is going to be it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, as always, make sure to leave that like, subscribe if you're new around here. Remember that we're all human differently, and I'll see you guys again soon. So.